This video is brought to you by that one guy in your friendship group that everyone's sick of, but, they're in the group for whatever reason, and it's been so long, what do you do? Do you kick him out? You just kind of put up with it, Spider-Man Homecoming has another trailer, ruining what was a perfectly good day for me of not watching the same 2.5 minutes again and again in order to make a video that differentiates itself enough from the others to make it worth watching. So, alright, let's get into all the Easter eggs and references and things that you probably did not miss, if I'm being honest, relating to Iron Man and Captain America's roles in the film, the origin of the Vulture, parallels to previous Marvel movies, plus I want to get into what's next for the Spider-Man, Spider-Verse, shared Spider-Man universe. And at the end, I've got that Daredevil Season 1 Blu-ray to give away from last week, and then details on how to win a loot crate for next week, and potential spoilers for Spider-Man Homecoming. Okay, let's go. I say spoilers, but this trailer looks to be beat for beat what happens in the actual movie. We get Spider-Man just Spider-Manning about. He comes up against the Vulture but buggers it up in a big way. Tony Stark takes his suit away so he goes it alone. Then he gets beat up in a warehouse and beat up on a plane. And then he gets beat up on the ground. They even go so far as to spoil the Captain America cameo. Being surprised by his cameo in Thor: The Second Thor was one of the best parts of Thor: The Second Thor. By the looks of this though, it looks like this footage would have been shot around the same time as the Avengers, as the costume appears to be from that era. Plus he's been in hiding after the events of Civil War. No doubt in the standard Marvel undercover getup. Leather jacket, sunglasses, hat. Weird though that it looks to be on a VHS. People weren't using those in 2012. Also weird that Captain America is encouraging fitness when his fitness regime was be a pretty good bloke and then have someone else radiate the fitness right into you. A lot of Iron Man stuff going on in this film also. We get a better look at his new suit, which is very similar to the Ultimate version, though he's also seen to be in the one that he wore from Civil War. This moment is probably very early on in the film or towards the end, seeing as Peter Parker is also wearing his new costume. Not sure what the deal is with the Vulture having one of his masks, but he seems to leave bits of his costume all over the place, and seeing as Adrian Toomes' company deals with the aftermath of these huge events, it's not really surprising that he managed to get one. But I'll talk about more on him in a bit. What is clear, however, is Tony Stark is yet again responsible for creating another villain and then being real good at blaming everyone else when a man with a leather face and a robot Vulture costume flies through a ferry with an experimental laser gun, severing it down the middle. It's been made apparent that he's introduced to this universe Damage Control, the group responsible for, say, when, a billionaire antagonizes a crippled man for no reason, leaving him to create an army of molten lava people who kidnap a president and destroy a shipyard. Or a billionaire building a sentient robot that creates an army of its own robots and destroys an entire city. Or a billionaire who's the former head of an arms dealing company that was unaware that his business partner is selling his tech to a terrorist organization whilst he's slicking back his hair and rolling the dice in Vegas and partying on his private jet where the air hostesses are also exotic dancers. The point is, Adrian Toomes and his company were the ones previously responsible for the cleanup when a billionaire decides to inadvertently ruin everyone's lives, and Stark implementing an initiative that takes jobs away from them means that they start using the tech that they've salvaged to commit all sorts of crimes. Apparently they've got a smattering of stuff that appeared in previous films, maybe some leftover Ultron bots and some Chitauri tech. We'll see. There's actually also a Damage Control TV series on the way. Not sure about the exact status of that, but seeing as people seem to hate Powerless, it's probably been moved along. So the Vulture's new origin, that's significantly different from the comics, because there he's an engineer and a businessman who feels his life isn't complete without struggling into a bird costume and robbing banks. Here though, he looks to be joining the long line of characters, both villainous and not, who figure out who Spider-Man really is. That hasn't exactly been an exclusive club in the past, but it could indicate that he's killed towards the end of the film as to not reveal Spider-Man's identity to the public. Then again, maybe he'll be showing up as part of the Sinister Six down the line at some point. As I mentioned up top, there's a bit of a parallel to Iron Man 3 in Spider-Man thinking that he's nothing without his suit. Tony Stark grappled with a similar problem before ultimately deciding that he is still Iron Man without his armor, which I think is debatable. Without it, he's just a guy in a hood with a glue gun and a gardening glove, while Spider-Man can pretty much do everything he was already capable of. Suit or no suit, he's still, decent at keeping two halves of a ship together. Look, I know it's difficult and he does require some help, but I feel like if he just dug deep and pulled a Tobey Maguire face, then things would most likely work out. Look, I know I've used that montage before, but I'll use any excuse or segue to get to it, whatever it takes. We're also getting a bit more of an idea in terms of what else the spider suit can do. I talked about this a bit in my last breakdown and briefly mentioned spider traces, but it looks as if here that he actually has one. Perhaps that's what ends up leading him to the ferry. I'm not sure. And you know what? I'm not really sure of anything, if I'm honest. But that's life, What a journey. I mean, we all end up dead, yeah, but still a bunch of weird stuff happens along the way. That you can be sure of. So this is hopefully a good Spider-Man movie, right? As opposed to all the shit ones and the shit ideas for films that never happened. I made a video on some of those that I'll link below if you are interested. But what I want to get into here is what's next for Spider-Man? What's he doing? Perhaps a bevy of sequels and spin-offs and appearances in other Marvel properties. In summary, yeah, that is what's gonna happen. But hey, if you want specifics, then okay. I can do that. That shouldn't be a problem. So his next appearance after this will be in Avengers Infinity War in April of 2018. The cast for this film is insane. Pretty much every Marvel hero who's ever appeared in a film who hasn't died. Which means, wait, all of them, I think? Wait, has anyone actually died? I mean, Coulson, I guess, but he's alive in our hearts and also in our TVs. Nick Fury? But he wasn't dead, that was an elaborate ruse. He loves an elaborate ruse. You know what? The fast one died. What's his name? The less compelling version of Quicksilver. But really though, no one of importance has actually died for real. That's insane to me. Comic book heroes dying is a staple of temporarily boosting sales and the profile of certain characters and then briefly replacing them and having readers go, hey, this isn't my Captain America, Superman, Spider-Man, Wolverine that I grew up with. So I'm just saying that someone's got to go in Infinity War. This cannot stand! Regardless, it's not going to be Spider-Man because, Spider-Man Homecoming 2, it's already got a release date. And that release date is July of 2019. Which sounds like the far-flung future, but it's like 2 years from now. Not much is known about this project aside from the fact that this new Spider-Man series is to operate in very much the same way as the Harry Potter series. Cast a bunch of young people, have them complete a series of movies chronicling their physical and emotional growth over a period of multiple years, and cross your fingers that none of them become addicted to pills, then gets naked and ends up punching a cop on live television. Spider-Man Homecoming 2 though, that's not the next project after Avengers Infinity War. In between, we're going to get the long-awaited Venom solo movie. What a bloody long road it's been to this one. David Goyer was going to make it with New Line at one point, and they were talking about maybe developing a film that's like a spin-off of the Raimi series, even though his version was obliterated, which I think he did out of spite, because he was forced to put him in his movie. Also, Josh Trank was potentially going to do one. Maybe that was related to the Amazing Spider-Man series. I don't know. It was probably going to be some shit origin. I mean, the symbiote's probably sitting in a jar in that Spider-Man villain basement anyway. But it seems to be happening for real. October 2018 specifically. And in the spirit of Logan and Deadpool, Venom will earn itself an R rating as it will include elements of horror. It seems like this series, though, will be only loosely linked to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, if at all. That way Sony doesn't have to include Marvel in the decision making or give them any money, which is probably a bad idea because Avi Arad is producing and he's a terrible bloke who makes terrible decisions. There's also been word of a Silver Sable and Black Cat movie, because although Sony are limited to using only the characters that relate to Spider-Man, it's absolutely worth them trying to build their own universe, kind of in the way that Fox has done with the X-Men, because that means money, and money is great. The more money you have, well, that makes you a better person, obviously. Chris Yost, who worked on the likes of Thor Ragnarok and Thor, the one with the elves and the blood tornado and the cat monster, he's currently rewriting the screenplay that was originally penned by Lisa Joy, who's worked on Westworld. But what's next for Spider-Man after that? Who knows? A bunch of shit, probably. Almost certainly Avengers Infinity War 2. A Spider-Gwen spin-off would be cool. I bet they're almost certainly working towards a Miles Morales situation. And as I've said before, I mean, I literally say this every time I talk about Spider-Man, but Sony, if you're listening, which you almost certainly aren't, you're your own bosses, you move to the beat of your own drum, except you fucked up the property so badly that you had to go crying back to Marvel because you ruined literally the most marketable comic book character of all time in what feels like an almost intentional effort to make people lose faith in all that you do. But maybe make a Spider-Verse movie. There could be like an amulet or a dimensional portal or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a writer. And then you could have multiple versions of Spider-Man meet even the ridiculous ones. That way you could even bring back Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in cameo roles, as both of those series, they ended on cliffhangers. One of them was last seen flying full tilt towards Paul Giamatti in a mechanized rhinoceros suit. And with the other one, we didn't know whether his relationship would recover after he hit his girlfriend in the face at a very public event. In my eyes, Those are some very loose threads. Okay, so here is the winner of the Daredevil Season 1 Blu-ray as part of my Iron Fist competition. Thank you for all the entries. There were hundreds. It was impossible to choose. I mean, obviously not really. I chose Corey Luca, but it was a difficult decision. And if you want to win next week's Loot Crate, just leave any comment below. Maybe on something significant that I've missed from the trailer, or perhaps something you'd like to see out of the future of the Spider-Man franchise series of verse. Also, I have a podcast called The Weekly Planet that covers movies and comics and TV shows that comes out every Monday. You might like it. I mean, I like it, but I guess it's kind of hard to gauge because, I'm in it, so, don't take my word for it. That's linked below, along with some other videos that you might like, 2 of which are right there, and are clickable even on mobile. Remarkable. Thanks for watching this, though. I appreciate it. Take care.